Standard forms are a very common practice inside of no-code tools. Oftentimes we have to ask people outside of our organization to input some data for us. But have you ever experienced a more advanced form where you are giving people a link that allows them to update information that already exists inside of some sort of database? Well, in this exact video, I'm going to be showing you how to do this very thing using two of my favorite tools, Fillout and Airtable. Fillout is going to allow us to build a nicely integrated form with Airtable so that people can update existing data in our Airtable database. So if this is of interest to you, stick around and let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Gareth. I'm the owner here at Gap Consulting, and it's our mission to help you to get organized and automated with no-code tools. Two of my favorite no-code tools are being discussed in this very video: Airtable for the backend database and Fillout, which is a robust form tool that's going to allow us to put together this fancy integration, all native inside the form, that is going to allow people to update information in our Airtable database. They can effectively edit data that lives in Airtable by entering information in a form. But before we get into the heart of the video, I want to first invite you to join me for my automation training. If you like the kind of stuff that we're covering here today, we go into way more detail in this free automation training that you can grab if you sign up at garethpronovost.com/webinar-registration. I will include links below this video. And also, if you haven't already subscribed to using Airtable and Fillout, do check the links below this video as well, since we will be sharing our affiliate links, and you can show some love back to the channel if you go ahead and sign up using those links. Now let's go ahead and hop on into the heart of this though, and we're gonna start by looking at what we've built already inside of Airtable. Good news is it's super simple and straightforward to get this set up. All I have so far is my database in Airtable that I have named Update Records with Fillout. And as you see, I've built just a simple table for contacts. Don't have any information here yet, but I'm collecting the following. I've got a first name, a last name, an email address, and a phone number field. And then one other field I want to bring our attention to is my full name field. This is a formula where I'm concatenating or stringing together two pieces of information, the first name and the last name. So that essentially what this is going to do, the formula as it computes, will take whatever the first and last name is and combine that for the full name. So pretty straightforward stuff. Now for our fun example, we need to get set up with a form in Fillout. Now, one question you might ask yourself is, why would I use Fillout if Airtable has native forms already a part of the software? That is true. Airtable does have form views that you can just create right here, and we can create simple forms and share them publicly with anyone or embed them on our website. But Airtable is not a form software first and foremost, which means that their forms lack in some of the more robust functionality that you're gonna get from a true form tool like Fillout. That's why Fillout is currently my favorite form tool. They do all kinds of things, including native integrations with Airtable that you're gonna see right here in this video. So now that we know why we're gonna use Fillout, let's go ahead and flip on into our Fillout screen here, and we will start by making a new form. And so right here, we have the option to either start with a blank form, start with a pre-made template, or to start by automatically connecting to popular tools. And you'll notice that Fillout connects to some of our favorite other no-code tools, including Notion and Google Sheets. But of course, the one we're gonna use here is Airtable. So I'll go ahead and make this selection here and pick Airtable from the list. And now it's gonna ask me what theme I want to use. I wanna point out you can scroll all the way down here and make your own theme. But for our example, I will just go with one of the preloaded themes here. The purple theme here seems to be doing just fine. So let's go ahead and make that selection and click Next. Now we need to make sure that we are connecting Fillout to our proper Airtable account. The nice part about this is you can actually have multiple different connections to Airtable accounts. So you might have one Fillout account that connects to multiple different Airtable accounts, and here's where you're going to determine which of those Airtable accounts you want this particular form to be connected to. In this case, I only have the one Airtable account, so I'll say my first Airtable connection. And if you haven't already done this, you can go ahead and add new and walk through the steps right here that Fillout presents for us in order to get integrated directly with Airtable. Once I'm happy with my selection, I will then click Next and be taken to the next part where I am asked to select the database that I want to connect this particular form to. Now, if we flip back to Airtable, we can remember that we called our base Update Records with Fillout, and in fact, we can just copy this whole thing, Control-C or Apple-C, flip back over to Fillout, start searching for the base, and we can just paste what we have right there, and there it is. It's going to find that database instantly for us. And now, of course, we have to select the table that we want our form to talk to. In our example, we only have one table, contacts. Make the selection, and now we're going to create our form. At this point, it's asking us what we want to call this form. So let's call this the update record example. And we will continue from here. Now, this big section in the middle of our screen is our actual form. On the left-hand side, we see all of the different elements that we can add to our form. Now, if you recall, in our contacts table, we have a few different variables that we're collecting. First name, last name, email, and phone number. You'll actually see those elements right here on our Fillout dashboard. So we can add those very things. Fillout is already talking to Airtable, and it knows what fields we have in our table, and it's saying, hey, do you want to add those fields here to this form? Yes, I do. Let's make the selection. First name, last name, email, phone number. There we go. You will also notice that there is no full name. If you recall, in Airtable, we had a formula that will calculate the full name by combining the first and last names. Because it is a formula, we can't actually write data to that particular field. It derives its value based on the output of the formula. It is a dependent field type in Airtable, and therefore we cannot add it to our form because it doesn't accept new data. So if you ever have a field in Airtable that you can't find in Fillout and you can't add it to your form, double check to make sure that you're working with an independent field type. That is a field where you can actually write data to. Fields that have lookups, rollups, formulas, things of that nature, those types of fields derive their value from whatever logic you build into your Airtable data schema and therefore cannot be added to forms. So now that we're happy with our form setup right here, I can actually publish this form right now and go to the shared view of that form. If I click up here onto share, it's going to show me where my form link is. Also note that I can get some code to embed this on my website, make a pop-up, etc. Now for us, I'm just going to go ahead and open up the actual form itself. This is now a live version of the form that you saw come together in just a matter of minutes, and I'm going to fill out my own information. So here I am filling out first name and last name, fake phone number in, and once I'm happy, I'll hit submit. The nice thing about this is, if you recall, we have not gone and mapped all these fields from Fillout to Airtable, none of that. However, if we flip back into Airtable, you're going to see that information that I just posted on that form is already available right here in my database. So this is really, really powerful. As you can see, I have a direct integration with that form so that when people fill it out, it's showing up right here in my database. But that is not the point of this video. This is only the first step. What we want to do here is give our users the power to be able to update information on this form. So how do we do that? Let's flip on back to our Fillout settings. Again, we're inside of our form here, and rather than going directly to share after we've created our form, first we'll go over to integrations. Now what we're going to find here is the different integrations that we can connect Fillout to. We can write to different APIs, we can connect to third-party tools, and we can have database solutions like Notion, Airtable, and Google Sheets, which we already talked about. Now, of course, we already have an integration with Airtable here. As you can see, it's already checked. But if we select this again, now we're taken to a more detailed screen that asks us some more advanced questions. And by default, what we get here is creating a record capability. What you just saw, what you just witnessed on the previous screen when I filled out the form, created a new record, the end. But maybe that's not what we want to do with our form. Maybe we want it to update a record, and in this case, that's exactly what we want. So I can make this selection right here. Now, Fillout does all the heavy lifting for us. It actually tells us what the exact link is that we are going to need. So let's go ahead and copy this link. I can do that simply by clicking right here. And I want to flip back into Airtable. And I'm actually going to post this specific formula, because what Fillout has done is actually given us a formula that is going to provide us with the right link that we want to click on to update a specific record. Let's take a look. I'm going to start by creating a new field and just call it formula, and it will be a formula field type. And I'm going to paste the information, this little snip of formula that I just copied from Fillout. So let's break this thing down. What do we have? Well, the first piece here, in between these quotation marks that I've just highlighted, this is static text. The first portion is the URL for the form. That is https:// all the way up to this question mark. So this piece right here is the actual form URL. Now what comes after that is this question mark here that is basically saying, hey, Fillout, we are about to pass you a variable. And the name of that variable is what comes after the question mark, in this case, ID right here. And then we're going to define the value of this variable, and that is denoted by this equal sign right here. So bit by bit, what we have is the URL for the form. Then we're saying, question mark means we're about to pass you a variable. The variable name is ID, and the value that we're passing for that ID is, and here's where things get different. Every single time that this formula computes inside of Airtable, the record ID of the record is going to be different. Let's actually demonstrate this. I'm going to create this field with the formula and expand it so that we can see the entire formula. But if I add a new record here, let's say Steve Jargon, and he's Steve at example.com. Well, we notice that the first portion of the formula is identical in both cases up to that equal sign. But after that, the record ID for each of these records is unique, because a record ID is unique for each record inside of Airtable. It's a unique identifier for this particular record, and whatever comes next. Each record's going to have its own ID, which is what makes the end of this unique. Now, before I actually click on this link to test it out to see if I can update a record in Airtable, first I have to go back to Fillout and publish the changes that I've made. All I did, remember, is come into integrations, flip us over to update record, but of course I have to publish those changes. So in the upper right corner, let's hit publish, make sure that our most recent changes have been saved, and now we can flip back into Airtable and actually hit on this link. Now, I'm going to choose the link for myself. This is the record for Gareth, and maybe I typed in my email address incorrectly and I want to update it. Well, let's click that link. It's going to take us to the Fillout form again, and you'll notice that all my information is already filled out. Gareth Pronovost with the email that I put in last time, but maybe this is wrong. Maybe it's gapconsulting.xyz. Okay, well, I can make the change here right on the form and hit submit. And now if I flip back into my Airtable database, instantly, I don't have a new record created, but I see that the changes were made right here to my email field that was updated from gapconsulting.io to gapconsulting.xyz. So how can we use this, and how can we make this functional in any kind of real capacity? Well, we can share this specific link with anybody who has information inside of our database. Let's say, for example, that our database held all of the information for our employees, and we wanted to say, hey, listen, employees, if you ever get a new phone number or a new personal email address and you want to update your information here, you don't have to talk to somebody, management, to have that done. Just click this link right here. That is your specific link. And there we go. You can update your information through that Fillout form. That's just one example, but of course, we could share this form in any different number of ways. We could share it with clients, we could share it internally, and effectively give people the ability to update information that we include on the form that we want them to be able to update. Now, the only way they'll ever be able to update that is if they have that exact specific link. One other really cool way that we can actually share this, rather than creating a formula as we've done here with a formula field, we can instead, let's copy that formula and instead create a button field type. And if we use the button, one option that we get here is to open a URL. And so for the URL option, we are allowed to put in a formula, and this has the same effect as just being able to push on a link, but it looks a lot cleaner to say open URL. So as one last step, what we might choose to do here would be to share this Airtable view. Maybe we want to hide this particular field. We don't need that formula, but we want to have this, and we'll call it, instead of saying open URL, we'll say update information. And so that when people push that button, they know they're going to a form to allow them to update the information in this Airtable database. We can share this view, create a shareable grid view link, and by just sharing this URL right here, we are going to allow people to see the data that lives in our database. And of course, they can, with one simple click, open up a form that will allow them to then edit that information. So I clicked on Steve, and maybe Steve in fact goes by Steven. Well, one simple click, hit submit, go back to the view that we had shared here, and the only catch is you're going to have to refresh this page in order to see that change. So this particular page right here, this is a read-only view that I created in just a moment from Airtable, but I've got a nice little button that actually lets me update that information thanks to this amazing fill-out form capability. I know we went fast in this video, so drop any questions you have below. I hope you got a ton out of this, and of course, in the meantime, keep on building.